So today I want to talk about the cost of staying stuck, which happens for so many of us. We know something needs to change or we realize something is not quite right, but we don't know necessarily what to do about or we scared to make any meaningful steps. So again, if this resonates, this video is for you. And I am Alexandra Vrook. I'm ecosomatic therapist, regenerative well-being activist, and I guide people who are done with constant grind to reconnect with the wisdom of their body as a compass towards a more nourishing, grounded, and free lives. Why we resist change so much? And I think a lot of time is because we are simply scared, right? What I see is quite often people stay stuck in situations that no longer work for them because they are scared that if they let go or if they start changes, the life that they spend so hard working towards and building may simply kind of start to collapse, or that they may collapse, right? If there is, I think, quite often this fear that if I let go, everything gonna fall apart. And sometimes we also don't want to disappoint people around us, we don't want to let them down. So there is so many different fears that are hold that in this stuckness. And this was certainly my own experience. So, a number of years ago, I used to work in high tech. I had this, I work in one of the top tech companies in the world. I was very, very successful, but I was burning out. I was overriding my body. Things were definitely not going in a good direction. And for a very long time, I resisted the change. I would tell myself, oh, I have nothing to complain about. I should be grateful. I have this great job, and I didn't wanted to lose all of that, right? So I didn't wanted to make change. But as the time continues and as I stay stuck, first of all, my body started to crumble. My health started to go down. I was being increasingly burnout. I was becoming increasingly, my mental capacity started to diminish until I started to get in trouble at work because, of course, I couldn't deliver what I was supposed to deliver because I was just so burned out. Until one day I woke up and I just couldn't face going to work, and then my whole world started to fall apart. And it was extremely scary moment. And I am saying this because I feel it cost us so much to stay stuck. Not only it cost us our health, and even now, good 5 or 6 years down the line, I am still recovering from that burnout, and I still have to take things a little bit slower that I would like to. My health, takes time to recover. I feel like only about now, my mental capacity is kind of back to normal, if you can call that. And of course, there is all the grief of losing all that time to the burnout, right? Because it's another year of just trying to cope and trying to keep your head above the water. It's another year of kind of living in this constant rush and pressure and actually not feeling quite alive. It's another year of just working beyond our capacity, and another year, and then you wake up at 40 and you realize there is less and less time left for me. So I think it is just so important that if you're finding yourself stuck in that kind of immobility and in this kind of fear of changing, in case you lose what you have now, my warning here is that if you continue on that path, in most likelihood, as it happened with me, you will reach the point where you will lose all of that, because eventually you will wake up and you will feel, I am done, and this is so scary. And so I would like to give you some steps of actually how can you work with that stuckness and get out of that stuckness in a way that doesn't mean that everything gonna collapse around you, in that kind of gentle little steps at a time way. And of course, if you're watching my video, that is very much through kind of turning into your body and supporting your body. First, in creating safety within your body, because quite often that burnout is actually a sign of this chronic nervous system dysregulation. So, we are living in a capitalism world, essentially, that is constantly pushing us through fear, right? Through fear of economic stability, through competition, is pushing us to work beyond our means. And that means that we are actually permanently stuck into this survival, which then means that it's much more difficult for us to take action. And so the first action is actually to start bringing that safety and support to the body. And little by little, as we offer the support, as we start to kind of work with that internal load that we often carry, right, with all that emotion that sometimes accumulate within us, and releasing that, we can also start with reconnecting to the body as this kind of compass, right? And what I mean by that, when I started to work on the relationship with my body, and again, it's quite it's a long process, right? It's not a quick fix, and we already learned that we don't want these like super quick solutions that means everything gonna collapse, right? We want to work kind of patiently and gently. And what happened for me as I started to work on that, and I started to recognize the needs, the desires of my body, and start tuning into them and listening to them and trusting them, my life then started to kind of change around me and reorient around me. Because I started to value my body in a way where I knew I do not want to work beyond my needs. I do not want to constantly push my body. In fact, my body deserves rest, and it deserves this kind of self-compassion and holding. And in that process, things started to really change. Eventually I did quit my job. I did went through the whole PhD process, but eventually I decided to leave all of that behind, because I realized this is not what I want, and this is not what is really nourishing me. And so now I try to live in the way in accordance with the guidance of my body and my kind of desires and needs. And even though I put a lot of work into what I'm doing, but I'm waking up feeling excited that I get to work on things that matter to me. When I'm tired, I'm giving myself time to rest, so that it doesn't feel like this constant burnout and burden of constantly working. So I have much better balance of working passionately, but also relaxing, so that I can fuel that passion through that kind of nourishing way. And a lot of problems that I had before, that kind of depression and overwhelm seems to resolve, just because there isn't that kind of looming kind of drive of like always performing and always delivering. And so I generally feel much more aligned and happy with my life, right? And so I'm saying all of this to not only warn you about the dangers of staying stuck, and it really is a danger, but also to give you kind of a way and hope that something else may be possible for you. And the path is through those small little steps of kind of tenderness within the body. So if this resonates with you and this makes you think a little bit, I am offering today a free body-led roadmap out of the burnout and disconnection, which is a PDF poster which you can download down from the link in the description below. Again, I have plenty of kind of embodiment practices for you to kind of go through if you need a little bit of support. I also offer one-to-one support as well as many different workshops. So if that's of interest, you can find my website again down below. And don't forget to share and like and follow and subscribe to this channel if those things speak to you. I hope that you take some of those things I said today seriously. Thank you very much.